The year was 2087. Earth had finally made contact with aliens. After decades of searching the stars and sending signals into space, the response came in the form of a massive ship entering Earth's orbit. The ship belonged to the Galactic Confederacy, an alliance of 12 advanced alien species that had been watching humanity for years. Governments around the world scrambled to organize a proper welcome. They selected their best and brightest to represent Earth in this historic meeting. Among those chosen was Lieutenant Commander Aaron Mitchell, a Navy SEAL with 15 years of combat experience. He stood tall in his dress uniform as he boarded the spacecraft that would take the Earth delegation to the Confederacy's main station, called Nexus Prime. Mitchell looked out the window as Earth became smaller behind them. The journey took 3 days. During this time, he studied the information packet about the Galactic Confederacy. They were far more advanced than humans in almost every way. Their technology could cure most diseases. Their ships could travel faster than light. Their weapons could destroy entire planets. Nervous? Asked Ambassador Sofia Delgado, the leader of Earth's delegation. She was a skilled diplomat with silver streaks in her dark hair. "No, ma'am," Mitchell replied. "Just curious. I wonder what they think of us. We'll find out soon enough," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. When they arrived at Nexus Prime, Mitchell was amazed. The station was the size of a small moon. It floated in space like a giant metal flower with petals extending in all directions. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved around it like bees around a hive. The Earth delegation was led to a large meeting room with a round table. The room had tall windows that showed the stars outside. Representatives from the 12 alien species sat waiting for them. Some looked almost human. Others were completely different, with multiple limbs, strange skin colors, or no recognizable face at all. General Krell, an Arcturian with blue skin and 4 eyes, stood to greet them. "Welcome, humans," he said through a translator device. "We are pleased to finally meet you face to face." Ambassador Delgado stepped forward. "Thank you for the invitation, General. Earth is honored to be considered for membership in your confederacy." The meeting started well. The aliens explained how their alliance worked. Each species contributed something unique. The Arcturians were master strategists. The Centaurians built the best ships. The Valurians were experts in medicine. "And what, will humans contribute?" asked Admiral Vex, a Centaurian with silver scales covering his body. "We are adaptable," Ambassador Delgado said. "We learn quickly. Our military forces are skilled at—" General Krell raised his hand to stop her. "Yes, about your military. We have observed your conflicts. We would like to discuss this area specifically." A large screen appeared on the wall. It showed videos of Earth's military training exercises. Mitchell recognized some of the footage. Navy SEALs running drills, Marines in combat simulations, Air Force pilots in flight training. The alien representatives watched with strange expressions. Some made sounds that the translator identified as laughter. "Is something amusing?" Ambassador Delgado asked, her voice still pleasant but with an edge. Admiral Vex stood up. "Please understand, Ambassador. We mean no disrespect. It's just that your military technology and tactics are primitive by our standards." "Primitive?" Mitchell repeated before he could stop himself. All eyes turned to him. "You are?" General Krell asked. "Lieutenant Commander Aaron Mitchell, United States Navy SEALs," he answered, standing straight. "Ah, your special forces," Admiral Vex said, looking Mitchell up and down. "We have studied your training. Very physical, very basic." Mitchell felt his face grow warm, but he kept his expression neutral. Ambassador Delgado gave him a warning look. "Our special forces are among the best trained soldiers on Earth," she said smoothly. "They can operate in any environment, adapt to any situation." General Krell clicked a button, and the screen changed to show a Confederacy training facility. Alien soldiers moved through obstacles at impossible speeds. They wore armor that seemed to change color to match the surroundings. Their weapons fired energy beams that cut through metal like butter. "This is our standard training," General Krell explained. "Our newest recruits can do this within weeks of joining. Mitchell watched closely. The alien soldiers were impressive, no doubt, but he noticed something. They all followed the exact same patterns. They relied heavily on their technology. When one soldier's weapon seemed to malfunction, the alien looked, confused for a moment before continuing. "Very impressive," Ambassador Delgado said, "but I believe you'll find that human soldiers have qualities that can't be measured by technology alone." General Krell made a sound like a snort. "Such as creativity, adaptability, the ability to function when technology fails," she replied. Admiral Vex waved his hand dismissively. "Our technology doesn't fail," Mitchell spoke up again. "With respect, Admiral, all technology can fail. What happens to your soldiers then?" The room grew quiet. The alien representatives looked at each other. "An interesting question, General," Krell finally said, "but not one we need to consider often." The meeting continued for hours. The aliens explained that all member species contributed specialized forces to the Galactic Defense Fleet, but they clearly couldn't imagine what role humans might play. "Perhaps some support functions," Admiral Vex suggested. "Your people could help with basic maintenance or food preparation." Mitchell clenched his jaw but remained silent. Ambassador Delgado maintained her diplomatic smile. "We would prefer to demonstrate our capabilities before any decisions are made," she said. "Of course," General Krell agreed. "There will be time for that. For now, please enjoy our hospitality. We have prepared quarters for your stay." As the Earth delegation was escorted to their rooms, Mitchell hung back to walk beside Ambassador Delgado. "They think we're jokes," he said quietly. "Yes," she agreed. "But that might work in our favor. The first rule of diplomacy, Commander. Let them underestimate you." Mitchell nodded, but he wasn't satisfied. He had spent his career proving himself, pushing past limits, surviving when others couldn't. Now an entire species was being judged as weak and primitive. In his room that night, Mitchell looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, a tiny blue dot in the vastness of space. He thought about his team back home, about the countless missions they had completed against impossible odds, about the times when everything went wrong and they still found a way to succeed. The aliens might have better technology, but Mitchell knew one thing for certain. They had never faced fighters like Earth's special forces. And if they thought humans were just primitive creatures playing at war, they were in for a surprise. Mitchell smiled to himself. Being underestimated wasn't new to him. In fact, it was often an advantage. And sooner or later, the Galactic Confederacy would learn that lesson the hard way. 2 weeks passed on Nexus Prime. The Earth delegation attended meeting after meeting about trade, technology sharing, and cultural exchange. Mitchell grew restless. He spent most of his time in the station's training facility, studying the alien soldiers from a distance. One morning, alarms blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the hallways. Mitchell rushed to the main command center where Ambassador Delgado and the alien leaders had gathered. "What's happening?" Mitchell asked a junior officer from the Earth team. "Something about an attack on a human colony," the officer replied. Mitchell pushed his way closer to hear General Krell speaking to the assembled group. "The situation is grave," the blue-skinned Arcturian was saying. "Viridian pirates have taken control of the research facility on Proxima Centauri B." Mitchell felt a chill. Proxima Centauri B was Earth's first colony beyond the solar system. Construction had begun just 5 years ago. The research facility was home to 53 of Earth's top scientists working on terraforming technology. A holographic display showed the facility, a cluster of domed buildings connected by tunnels, surrounded by the harsh landscape of the planet. Red dots indicated where the pirates had placed explosives and guard posts. "The Viridians are demanding advanced weapons technology and ship coordinates," Admiral Vex explained. "They have given us 12 hours before they start killing hostages." Ambassador Delgado stepped forward. "These are Earth citizens. We demand to be involved in any rescue operation." General Krell nodded. "Of course, Ambassador, but you should know that these pirates are not like human criminals. They are Viridians, former Confederacy soldiers who have enhanced themselves with illegal technology. They are extremely dangerous." What's the plan? Mitchell asked. Admiral Vex pointed to the hologram. The pirates have established disruption fields around the facility. These fields will disable most advanced weapons and communication systems. Additionally, they have damaged the facility's life support systems, which will fail in 12 hours. Commander. Lyra Nix, a tall humanoid with pale skin and silver eyes, stepped forward. She wore the distinctive black armor of the Phantom Squadron, the Confederacy's elite Special Forces unit. My team will handle this, she said confidently. We will enter from the south access point, neutralize the pirates, and extract the hostages. Mitchell studied the hologram carefully. Something didn't look right to him. Those disruption fields will knock out your fancy tech, he said. Your weapons, your communication, your armor, none of it will work inside. Commander Nix looked at Mitchell like he was a child. Our equipment has protective shielding. It will function long enough to complete the mission. Mitchell shook his head. The facility plans show the disruption field generators are staged in overlapping coverage. The effect will be stronger than you're expecting. And how would you know this? Admiral Vex asked with a hint of amusement. Because humans developed similar technology, just on a smaller scale, Mitchell replied. We call them EMP devices. They knock out electronics. We train for these scenarios. The room grew quiet. The alien officials looked at each other. Your primitive species has such weapons? General Krell asked, surprised. Yes, Mitchell said. And more importantly, we know how to fight without relying on advanced tech. My team can get those hostages out. The chamber erupted in laughter. Commander Nix approached Mitchell with a condescending smile. Your primitive species thinks it can accomplish what our elite forces cannot. Sometimes low tech is exactly what's needed, Mitchell responded, keeping his voice even. My SEAL team trains specifically for conditions where technology fails. Ambassador Delgado placed a hand on Mitchell's arm. Lieutenant Commander, perhaps we should discuss this privately. There's no time, Mitchell insisted. Those people have less than 12 hours. Let me bring in my team. General Krell raised all four of his hands to quiet the room. An interesting proposition. Commander Nix, what do you think? The Phantom Squadron leader circled Mitchell slowly. I think it would be educational for them. After a heated debate, a compromise was reached. Both teams would deploy. The Phantom Squadron would approach from the south as planned. Mitchell's team would come from the north. I need to contact my team immediately, Mitchell said. They're on the Earth vessel ECS Horizon about 6 hours from here. Admiral Vex nodded to an aide. Get him whatever communication he needs. Mitchell sent an encrypted message to his team. Within minutes, he received a response. Ready to rock. See you. In 6. The next 6 hours were a blur of preparation. Mitchell studied every detail of the facility's layout. He learned everything he could about the Viridian pirates, their weapons, their tactics, their weaknesses. Commander Nix found Mitchell in the planning room late that night. Your team won't arrive in time for proper training, she said. They don't need it, Mitchell replied without looking up from his notes. We've run operations like this dozens of times. Against Viridian pirates? She asked skeptically. Against enemies who had better technology and thought they were invincible, he answered. Nix leaned against the table. I've studied the history of your species. You fight each other constantly. Small wars over resources, religion, territory. It's primitive. Mitchell finally looked up. Those small wars taught us something important. Victory doesn't always go to the side with better weapons. It goes to the side that can adapt, that can think outside the box, that can function when everything goes wrong. We shall see, Nix said as she turned to leave. For the sake of the hostages, I hope you're right about your team's abilities. 6 hours later, Mitchell stood in the docking bay as a small Earth shuttle arrived. The doors opened, and 5 people, in standard Earth military uniforms, stepped out. They looked ordinary, nothing like the imposing alien warriors of the Phantom Squadron. Chief Petty Officer Daniel Rivera, a stocky man with a permanent half-smile, was the first to approach. Nice place they got here, he said, looking around at the sleek alien architecture. Petty Officer First Class Olivia Grant, tall and athletic with a close-cropped haircut, was next. "What's the situation, sir?" Behind them came Petty Officer Second, Class Kyle Washington, a quiet, methodical explosives expert, and Petty Officers William Sanchez and Nicole Patel, both seasoned combat veterans. Hostage situation. 53 scientists. Hostile force with superior tech. Disruption fields in place. Life support failing. Mitchell summarized quickly. "We have less than 6 hours now," Rivera nodded. "So Tuesday." The team broke into grins despite the gravity of the situation. Mitchell felt a surge of pride. These were his people. Trained to face impossible odds, to think on their feet, to complete the mission no matter what. As they unloaded their gear, much of it looking primitive compared to the advanced weapons of the Confederacy forces, Mitchell knew the aliens were watching and judging. Let them, he thought. Soon enough, they'd see what humans could really do. The large briefing room fell silent as both teams gathered for final mission planning. The Phantom Squadron stood on one side, 12 alien warriors in sleek black armor that seemed to drink in the light. Their weapons were slim and elegant, designed to interface directly with their neural systems. SEAL Team 6 stood on the other side in simple combat fatigues. Their gear looked bulky and basic by comparison: ballistic weapons, analog navigation, tools, physical explosives, and mechanical lockpicks. Some of the alien officials who had come to observe whispered and pointed at the humans' equipment. General Krell activated the holographic display showing the Proxima Centauri research facility. "We have updated intelligence," he said. "The Viridians have 27 fighters inside. The hostages are being held in 3 separate locations. The disruption fields are stronger than initially reported." Admiral Vex turned to Commander Nix. "Phantom Squadron will enter here," he said, pointing to the southern entrance. "You will proceed to the central control room, disable the security systems, and then move to extract the hostages." Nix nodded confidently. "We anticipate minimal resistance. Our armor will shield our systems long enough to reach the control room." Admiral Vex then looked at Mitchell with obvious doubt. "Lieutenant Commander, your team will enter from the northern maintenance tunnel. Your primary objective is to create a diversion to draw attention from the main assault." Mitchell exchanged glances with his team. They had expected this to be used as a distraction rather than trusted with a key part of the mission. "With respect, Admiral," Mitchell said, "we should focus on the hostages first. If the life support fails, none of the rest matters." "The Phantom Squadron will handle the hostages," Nix said dismissively. Mitchell stepped toward the hologram and pointed to the facility's layout. "The disruption fields are layered in 6 zones. By our calculations, your systems will fail completely. In the 3rd zone, here, well before you reach the control room or any of the hostages." Nix's silver eyes narrowed. "And what do you suggest?" "We split the objectives," Mitchell said. "Your team takes the eastern sections, we take the western. We move simultaneously to secure all 3 hostage locations. This gives us the best chance of success." The room grew tense. The alien officials were not used to having their plans questioned, especially by representatives of a primitive species. General Krell studied Mitchell for a long moment. "The Lieutenant Commander's assessment of the disruption fields matches our latest readings," he finally said. "The plan has merit." Admiral Vex looked unhappy but nodded. "Very well. Adjust the mission parameters accordingly." As the meeting ended, the SEAL team gathered their equipment and began their final preparations. Rivera checked each weapon meticulously. Grant studied the facility maps one last time, memorizing every corridor and room. Washington prepared his specialized explosive charges designed to work without electronic detonators. Sanchez and Patel ran communications checks with their analog radio backups. Commander Nix approached as Mitchell was adjusting his tactical vest. "Your team seems confident," she said. "We are," Mitchell replied simply. "I'm curious," Nix said, watching the humans prepare. "What makes you think you can succeed where more advanced forces would fail?" Mitchell stopped what he was doing and looked directly at her. "Because we don't rely solely on technology. We rely on each other, on our training, and on our ability to adapt. Technology is what separates advanced civilizations from primitive ones, Nix argued. No, Mitchell countered. How you respond when that technology fails, that's what truly matters. Nix seemed about to reply when Admiral Vex called for teams to prepare for deployment. The SEAL team gathered in a tight circle, arms on each other's shoulders. Remember, Mitchell said quietly to his team, they think we're primitive. Let's show them what primitive can do. Rivera grinned. Like that time in the Amazon when our gear got fried by lightning? Or the operation in the Arctic when we lost all comms for 3 days, Grant added. Exactly, Mitchell nodded. We've been here before. We know what to do. The teams boarded separate transport vessels. As they flew toward Proxima Centauri b, Mitchell watched the planet grow larger in the view screen. It was still mostly barren. The terraforming process had only just begun. The air was barely breathable, and temperatures fluctuated wildly between day and night. Perfect SEAL weather, Rivera joked, noticing Mitchell's expression. The transport landed a mile from the facility, just beyond the range of the pirates' sensors. The SEALs disembarked quickly, moving in perfect coordination developed through years of missions together. Night was falling on this part of the planet. The temperature was dropping rapidly. The team's breath formed clouds in the cold air as they moved silently across the rocky terrain toward the northern entrance. Phantom Squadron is in position, came the report over their communications system. One of the few pieces of advanced tech they had accepted, but they were prepared to lose it once they entered the disruption fields. Copy that. SEAL Team 6 moving into position, Mitchell responded. They reached the entrance, a simple maintenance door on the side of one of the domes. Washington examined the lock mechanism. Primitive by their standards, he whispered. Advanced by ours, but still pickable. He pulled out a set of slender tools and began working on the lock. Grant kept watch while Sanchez set up a simple pulley system on the door, insurance in case they needed to make a quick exit later. Patel laid out emergency medical supplies where they could be easily accessed. Phantom Squadron beginning entry, came the voice of Commander Nix, sounding slightly less confident than before. Washington looked up at Mitchell and nodded. The lock clicked open. SEAL Team 6 entering the facility, Mitchell reported. Radio check in 5 minutes. After that, we'll likely be in the disruption field. Understood, came the response from Admiral Vex himself, now monitoring from the command ship in orbit. Good luck, humans. You may need it. Rivera rolled his eyes at the comment. Mitchell turned to his team. Stay together. Stay alert. Remember the mission. Get to the hostages before life support fails. Everything else is secondary. They slipped through the door into a dimly lit corridor. The air inside was stale and noticeably thinner than outside, a sign that the life support systems were indeed failing. As they moved deeper into the facility, their communications equipment began to crackle with static. Disruption field, first layer, Grant whispered, checking a simple compass-like device on her wrist. Bearing holding steady, Mitchell nodded. From here on, we're on our own. He looked at each member of his team. Just the way we like it. They continued forward, moving like shadows through the darkened facility, ready to show the Galactic Confederacy what human special forces could really do. The SEAL team moved deeper into the facility. Their footsteps were silent on the metal floors. The corridors were dark, with only emergency lights casting a red glow every 20 feet. Mitchell led the way, with Rivera right behind him. Grant followed, keeping track of their position using a paper map and a simple compass. Washington, Sanchez, and Patel formed the rear guard, watching for threats from behind. As they reached the second layer of the disruption field, their advanced communication devices died completely. The small lights on their equipment went dark. Mitchell made a hand signal and everyone switched to their backup gear. Just like we practiced, he whispered. Analog from here on out. They continued forward, now relying only on mechanical watches to track time, paper maps to navigate, and hand signals to communicate. The air grew thinner as they went deeper. The life support systems were failing faster than expected. Suddenly, Rivera held up his fist, the signal to stop. Everyone froze in place. Mitchell strained his ears and heard what Rivera had detected: footsteps, approaching from around the corner. He signaled the team to take cover. Two Viridian pirates appeared. They were tall, with gray skin and cybernetic implants visible on their faces and arms. They carried energy weapons that looked dead in their hands. The disruption field had disabled them. The pirates were arguing, clearly frustrated by their malfunctioning equipment. Mitchell gave a nod to Rivera and Grant. In one smooth motion, they emerged from cover. Before the pirates could react, Rivera and Grant had them in chokeholds. Their pirates struggled briefly, then went limp as they lost consciousness. "Zip ties," Mitchell whispered. Washington quickly bound the pirates' hands and feet with plastic restraints, simple but effective tools that weren't affected by the disruption field. Sanchez gagged them with cloth to prevent them from calling for help when they woke up. The team stashed the unconscious pirates in a storage closet and continued on their way. According to their intelligence, the Western hostage location should be just ahead, a laboratory where 15 scientists were being held. They came to a four-way intersection. Mitchell checked the paper map, then pointed left. As they turned the corner, they encountered something unexpected. 3 more pirates, but these ones wore special suits with blinking lights. Their weapons were still functioning. "Shielded tech," Mitchell mouthed silently to his team. These pirates had protection against the disruption field. The pirates spotted them immediately. "Humans!" one of them shouted, raising his weapon. There was no time for stealth now. Mitchell and Rivera fired their ballistic weapons, simple guns that used gunpowder and lead, technology that hadn't changed much in centuries. The pirates were stunned when the bullets tore through their advanced armor. They had designed their suits to stop energy weapons, not physical projectiles. 2 pirates fell. The third managed to fire his weapon. A bolt of energy sizzled past Mitchell's ear and melted a hole in the wall behind him. Patel quickly took aim and dropped the third pirate with a clean shot to the shoulder. The team moved quickly to secure the area, knowing the noise would attract more enemies. "We need to get to the hostages now," Mitchell said. "They'll know we're here." They reached the laboratory door. It was locked with an electronic system that was now dead due to the disruption field. Washington examined it briefly. "Manual override here," he said, pointing to a small panel beside the door. He pulled out a multi-tool and pried the panel open, revealing a series of mechanical gears and levers. After studying it for a moment, he pulled 2 levers, and the door slid open halfway before stopping. "Good enough," Mitchell said. They squeezed through the gap and entered the laboratory. Inside, 15 scientists sat huddled against the far wall. They looked up in fear, then relief when they recognized fellow humans. A Viridian guard lay unconscious on the floor, likely knocked out when his cybernetic systems failed in the disruption field. "United States Navy SEALs," Mitchell announced quietly. "We're here to get you out." A woman with gray-streaked hair stood up. "Dr. Ellen Reeves, lead researcher," she said. "There are 2 more groups of hostages, one in the central computer lab and one in the medical bay." "We know," Mitchell assured her. "Another team is working to free them. Right now, we need to get you to safety." Dr. Reeves looked skeptical. "The pirates have the whole facility surrounded, and the air is getting thin. Life support is failing." "We have a plan for both problems," Mitchell said. He turned to Washington. "How much time do we have on life support?" Washington checked his mechanical watch. "Based on the air quality readings, maybe 90 minutes before it reaches critical levels." Mitchell nodded. "Enough time if we move quickly." He turned to the scientists. "Stay close, follow our lead. Don't make any noise." Just as they prepared to leave, a static-filled voice came from a simple radio on Rivera's belt. "See, Team 6. The voice was barely audible through the interference. "Phantom, need assistance." Mitchell took the radio. "Repeat your message, where are you?" "Main dock corridor ambush. Weapons. Failed." It was Commander Nix's voice, now showing real fear for the first time. Mitchell looked at his team. They had successfully rescued their group of hostages, but the Phantom Squadron was in trouble. "We stick to the plan," Rivera suggested. "Get these people out first." Mitchell shook his head. "If Phantom Squadron fails, the other hostages die." He made a quick decision. "Sanchez, Patel, get these scientists to the extraction point. The rest of us will help Phantom Squadron." Sanchez nodded. "We'll get them out, sir." Mitchell turned to Dr. Reeves. "These two will lead you to safety. The rest of us are going to help the other team." "The aliens?" Dr. Reeves asked. "The ones with all the fancy technology?" Mitchell couldn't help a small smile. "Yes, their fancy technology isn't working so well right now." "Good luck," Dr. Reeves said. "And thank you." Mitchell, Rivera, Grant, and Washington headed toward the central corridor, moving as fast as they could while still maintaining caution. They could hear sounds of fighting ahead, shouts, thumps, and an occasional energy weapon discharge. They turned a corner and saw the scene. The Phantom Squadron was pinned down in the central corridor. Their sleek armor was dark and non-functional. Their advanced weapons were useless in their hands. 6 Viridian pirates with shielded suits were advancing on them, firing energy weapons that the Phantom Squadron was barely able to dodge. Commander Nix saw the humans arrive and shouted, "The disruption field is stronger than we calculated. Our systems failed completely." Mitchell assessed the situation quickly. "Rivera, Grant, left flank, Washington, get ready with the special package. I'll draw their fire." Washington grinned as he pulled a small cloth bundle from his pack. It contained simple black powder explosives with mechanical detonators, technology that was centuries old but completely immune to the disruption field. Mitchell stepped into the corridor and fired. Several shots drawing the pirates' attention away from the Phantom Squadron. The pirates turned in surprise, not expecting an attack from behind. In that moment of confusion, Rivera and Grant opened fire from the left side of the corridor, forcing the pirates to split their attention. Washington, meanwhile, had rigged his explosive device and rolled it toward the feet of the grouped pirates. "Fire in the hole," he called out as the fuse burned down. The explosion wasn't massive, but in the confined space of the corridor, it was enough. The blast knocked the pirates off their feet, their shielded suits damaged by the concussive force. The SEALs moved in quickly, neutralizing the stunned pirates with precise shots and hand-to-hand combat moves. In less than 30 seconds, the threat was eliminated. Commander Nix stared at the humans with new respect in her silver eyes. "How did you—" "No time," Mitchell cut her off. "We have hostages to save and less than an hour of air left." Time was running out. The air in the facility grew thinner with each passing minute. Mitchell and his team joined forces with the Phantom Squadron, now humbled by their rescue. The remaining hostages are in the central computer lab and medical bay, Mitchell explained quickly. "We need to split up to reach them all in time." Commander Nix nodded, her earlier arrogance gone. "My team's weapons are useless. What do you suggest?" Mitchell handed her his sidearm. "Old school, point and shoot. The trigger is mechanical." Nix examined the weapon with newfound respect. Simple, but effective. She distributed the SEAL's spare weapons to her team. "Rivera, Grant, you go with Commander Nix to the medical bay," Mitchell ordered. "Washington and I will take the computer lab with the rest of Phantom Squadron. We meet at the north exit in 40 minutes. The teams split up, moving through the dark corridors. Mitchell and Washington led their group toward the central computer lab, where 20 more scientists were being held. They encountered 3 more pirates along the way, but the element of surprise was on their side. The pirates never expected to face enemies with functioning weapons deep inside the disruption field. At the computer lab entrance, Mitchell signaled for everyone to stop. Through the small window in the door, he could see at least 5 pirates, inside all wearing shielded suits. They had 20 scientists gathered in the center of the room. "We need a distraction," Mitchell whispered to Washington. Washington grinned. "I've got just the thing." He pulled out another small package from his kit, a simple smoke device made from chemicals that reacted when mixed. "Old camping trick," he explained to the confused aliens. "No electronics required." Mitchell explained the plan quickly. Washington would roll the smoke device through the door when it opened. In the confusion, they would enter from multiple points and overwhelm. the pirates before they could harm the hostages. But the door is locked with an electronic system, one of the Phantom Squadron members said. Mitchell smiled. Which is why we brought this. He pulled out a small vial of acid. Sometimes the most primitive solution is the most effective. He carefully applied the acid to the hinges of the door. The metal began to sizzle and smoke as the acid ate through it. On my signal, Mitchell whispered, drawing his combat knife. The hinges gave way with a groan. Washington immediately rolled, his smoke device into the room. Thick gray smoke billowed out, filling the computer lab. Mitchell kicked the door down and they rushed in from all sides. The pirates were caught completely off guard. Accustomed to relying on advanced targeting systems in their helmets, they were blinded and disoriented by the simple smoke. The combined human and alien team moved efficiently through the chaos, neutralizing the pirates one by one. 2 pirates managed to grab hostages as shields. "Stay back or they die," one pirate shouted, holding an energy weapon to a scientist's head. His shielded suit was still functioning, making him dangerous. Mitchell stopped advancing but kept his weapon trained on the pirate. "You're out of options," he said calmly. "Your forces are defeated. Release the hostages, and you live." The pirate laughed. "You think I fear death? His words were cut short as something small and fast flew through the air and struck him in the forehead. The pirate collapsed and the scientist scrambled away. The second pirate looked around in confusion before another projectile hit him as well. Mitchell turned to see one of the Phantom Squadron members holding a small mechanical, spring-loaded device, a homemade slingshot crafted from parts of their failed equipment. "I observed your chief petty officer create something similar earlier," the alien explained. The concept seemed adaptable. Mitchell nodded with approval. Quick learning. They secured the remaining pirates and gathered the scientists. Washington checked his watch. 25 minutes of air left, we need to move. Mitchell contacted Rivera on the analog radio. Status report? Medical bay secured. 17 hostages safe. En route to extraction point, Rivera's voice crackled back. Copy that. We're on our way too. They moved quickly through the facility, guiding the scientists toward the north exit where Sanchez and Patel should be waiting, with the first group of hostages. The air was now so thin that some of the scientists were having trouble walking. The team members took turns supporting them. When they reached the exit, they found Sanchez and Patel had already evacuated their group to the waiting transport ships. Rivera, Grant, and Nix arrived moments later with the final group of hostages. Everyone accounted for? Mitchell asked. Rivera nodded. All 53 scientists present and mostly unharmed. Some are suffering from oxygen deprivation, but nothing life-threatening. As they boarded the transport ships, Mitchell looked back at the facility. The mission was complete. Against all odds, they had saved every hostage. The journey back to the Confederacy flagship was quiet. The scientists received medical attention while the SEAL team checked their equipment and rested. The members of Phantom Squadron sat apart, speaking quietly among themselves. Commander Nix eventually approached Mitchell. I owe you an apology, Lieutenant Commander, she said. Mitchell raised an eyebrow. For underestimating your species. For assuming that technological advancement was the only measure of capability. She paused. Your team saved mine today. We would have failed without you. Different tools for different jobs, Mitchell said simply. Your technology is impressive, but technology can fail, Nix finished for him. While adaptation, improvisation, creativity, these never fail. Mitchell nodded. That's what humans bring to the table. When they returned to Nexus Prime, Admiral Vex personally greeted the returning forces. The command center was filled with Confederacy officials eager to hear about the mission. It seems we may have misjudged human capabilities, Admiral Vex acknowledged, addressing the Earth delegation. General Krell stepped forward. Lieutenant Commander Mitchell, your team performed admirably under extraordinary circumstances. The Confederacy would be honored if Earth would consider contributing special forces units to our joint defense initiatives. Ambassador Delgado smiled diplomatically. I believe that can be arranged, General. In the formal council session that followed, the Galactic Confederacy officially recognized Earth's military contribution. Human special forces would be integrated into the Confederacy's operations, specifically for missions where technological superiority might be compromised or insufficient. As the Earth delegation prepared to return home, Commander Nix sought out Mitchell one last time. What will you do now? She asked. Go back to Earth. Train more teams. Prepare for the next impossible mission, he replied. Perhaps I could observe this training, Nix suggested. There seems to be much we could learn from each other. Mitchell smiled. I think that could be arranged. Word spread throughout the Confederacy about the success on Proxima Centauri B. The story grew with each telling, how a small team of humans with primitive weapons had succeeded where the elite Phantom Squadron had failed. How they had adapted. When technology failed, improvised solutions with simple tools and saved everyone against impossible odds. For Mitchell and his team, it was just another mission accomplished. But for humanity, it was the beginning of a new reputation among the stars, not as the primitive newcomers but as the specialists in adaptive warfare, masters of the unexpected, and a valuable addition to galactic security. The universe, it seemed, still had room for the oldest human qualities: courage, creativity, and the ability to triumph even when everything goes wrong.